We're back. Just like there's always a bull market somewhere, not everyone is losing out in this economic downturn. More than 1 million people filed for bankruptcy last year. That means plenty of business for lawyers. Even lawyers, though, aren't insulated from a down economy. 3,000 lawyers were laid off in the first 3 months of 2009. Does the legal profession deserve our sympathy? Or is business better than ever? Let's get to our panel of experts. Peter Flaherty, president of the National Legal and Policy Center, whatever that is. And Susan Hackett, Association of Corporate Counsels, Senior VP and General Counsel, whatever that is. Peter, first of all, what's your organization? I've never heard of it, which doesn't mean anything. But who are you? What do you represent?
Mark, our mission is to promote ethics in public life. We've been advocates of legal reform over the years, and we've been quite critical of the legal profession. You know, George Bernard Shaw said that every profession is a conspiracy against the public interest, and I believe that's particularly true of the legal profession. The bar is insulated from market forces in so many different ways, so I don't have much sympathy in today's economy for lawyers, and perhaps a shakeout is a good thing. We're over-lawyered. There are 265 people to every lawyer in this country. Even statist countries like France, it's 1,400 to 1. So this may not be all that bad.
Okay, fortunately, you can't blame me, right? And I got out of law school. I said I'm not going to practice law. Susan.
Yes, sir.
What is your position in all this?
Well, the Association of Corporate Counsel is the bar association for in-house lawyers.
I get it, yeah.
That means that our members are the folks who actually hire law firms to provide corporate legal services. So even though our members are lawyers, in many ways they behave, if you will, in the marketplace as clients. So they're just as hot and mad about out-of-control legal expenses as anyone is. And indeed, that's been a huge priority of our association with the ACC Value Challenge to address that issue.
That's been an issue for several years, I would say, right?
Oh, it's been an issue for decades.
Yeah.
And frankly, one of the great frustrations for ACC members has been that while they've complained for years about out-of-control legal costs in the corporate sector, they have really, quite honestly, felt very helpless about being able to manage it because firm profitability has continued to soar. And the law firm market, as Peter noted, seemed to have been insulated. But I think times are changing. There is a revolution coming that I think will transform the legal profession.
All right, let me ask you about that because, you know, I'm actually familiar with a company founded by a young Indian prodigy, educated here, called Clutch Group, Susan.
Yes.
And what they do is they try to provide low-cost legal services to companies, competing with the law firms. They're doing it with lawyers in India and around the world. So, in other words, in that case, the amount of litigation wouldn't go down, but you'd have to pay less for it. Is that really a win for anybody?
Oh, it's a huge win for clients. I think that the key is to remember that what clients are looking for in legal services is value. They aren't looking for high costs. They want quality, of course, but quality can be found in so many quarters, whether it's in a large U.S. firm, whether it's in the mid-tier firms or smaller firms, whether it's overseas, whether it's in non-law firm legal service providers. And that's what it is that in-house counsel are taking a very close look at.
That brings your costs down, but what about this whole issue of litigation? I mean, it's a pandemic in this country. Duncan Niederauer of the New York Stock Exchange said just last week we can't get new companies to list in this country because they're worried about there's no tort reform.
Well, certainly it's a concern that I hear our members talking about, but I'm not quite sure that they're in control of the ability to make changes about how it is from the top down litigation filters to their companies. What it is we can do to make changes, however, is to focus on ways that lawyers can better manage themselves within legal departments and better manage their law firms to drive value.
That's great, Susan, but we need tort reform, and we're not going to get it under this administration. Even more than that, even with this downturn, I believe it's a bull market for legal services. Barack Obama and his rubber-stamped Congress are going to try to put through the cap-and-trade system. They're literally going to create billions of dollars worth of credits out of thin air. That's going to require registration, application, and plenty of fighting over who gets what. I'm sure the administration's getting rid of the death tax. Just think of what families will have to do now to jump through legal hoops to protect their assets. So if lawyers are crying in their beer now, they should just wait a few months. I believe they're going to do very well.
I think that there are
inspired. I'm inspired.
There are always sectors of the legal profession that will do well in any kind of a given moment in the economy. I think what's important is to start looking at the law firm business model and the way that clients are purchasing legal services so that we are looking at ways to drive down costs overall, regardless of whether bankruptcy is the fashionable practice this month or whether environmental law is the practice next month. There are going to be blips on the screen up and down. We got to come across the profession with reform.
Got to go. Susan Hackett, Peter Flaherty, thank you both
Mark.
very much for your input.
Thank you.